Have you ever lost your way? Wandering, uncertain, and overwhelmed. Sometimes all that's needed is a simple course correction. And before you know it, you're back on track. Other times the chart is unreadable, the trail dimly lit, and the way home hidden somewhere beyond the horizon. As we make our way through life, we all have moments like these. They are simply a part of our journey. But as Christ followers, we have a Savior who remains faithful, even when we've wandered off the road. A God whose word is a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path. If we fix our eyes on Jesus, we will always find our way back home.
Even with good intentions this year, with a goal in mind to become better than before, there will be a time this year that you will find yourself wandering, lost. You will find yourself with no direction, don't know what to do, don't know what to pursue. You start 2025 well, yet in the middle of the year, you found yourself confused and with really no hope. You set goals this year, but when problems comes and the trials arises, you find yourself disoriented and worse, wasted. You have no way to go and you feel discouraged. You started the excitement as you set your goals and you have that excitement, yet you get overwhelmed with distractions along the way and you lost the motivation to continue becoming better than before. And that's the reality, folks. That's the reality that you're going to face this year. Like what I said previously, previous Sundays, that those people who set their goals will give up with their goals. 90% of them will give up with their goal, pursuing their goals at the middle of February. Many of us will give up dreaming and pursuing our dream this year as we face the trials and obstacles we face in our journey this year. The good thing is we can be ready when those times comes. And that's what I want to focus this afternoon. Let's identify first, what are those things? What are those things that will serve as our obstacles this year as we journey in life towards becoming better than before? Some of us here will be facing delays. It's too small, but you can read that, right? This year there will come a time that you will feel like, is God listening? Is God listening to me? Is God really listening or answering my prayers? You feel like God is not working on your requests. You've been praying day and night, and it seems that nothing is happening with your husband, with your wife, with your kids, with your family. Nothing is happening at work, at school. Nothing else is happening with your life. And when we get impatient, we tend to do it our way. If God can't answer my prayer, then I will compromise. If God will not give me boyfriend this year, I will find boyfriend. Diba? If God will not give me, answer my prayer to get my permit this year, I will look for other pathways. Like Joy Fabregas, no? No one watched that part, no? Okay, sorry, wrong joke. But what I'm trying to say is if we end up doing the things that we're not doing and becoming the things that we're not supposed to be becoming, if we will not wait on the Lord. If God can't do it, I will do it my ways. Delays can be an obstacle to become better than before. Another one is disapproval of people around us. You set your goals, this is what I want to be this year. This is what I want to become this year. This is what I want to achieve this year. I want to become better than before, but the people around you don't believe in you. And that could be your family members. That could be your relatives. That could be your friends, your classmates, your coworkers, your boss. I set the goal this year to become better than before. Really? Wow. Good luck. Good luck if you'll become better husband this year. Good luck if you'll become better wife this year. You know, I set some goals that will help me become a responsible son or daughter this year. Oh, do you have COVID? Hello? Diba? And some people would make fun of you in a sarcastic way. They would, okay, we'll see. You will give up anyway, right? Some people will make fun of us. Some people will laugh at us. And when that time comes, you will find yourself discouraged. This is where you entertain the thought that, I am only like this person. I am just an ordinary person. And I don't have really that motivation to become better than before. I am a typical, regular, ordinary guy. And there's nothing special about me. That's why I think I'm not good enough to become better than before. And sometimes these words will come from people, again, you never expect. From the people that your husband, your wife, or your parents. You are only like this, you are only like that. Sometimes this word will come actually from you. You're doubting yourself and you become discouraged because the things are not going as planned. And since you're discouraged, you will start to entertain some distractions in life. Well, I cannot become better, so I'll just continue procrastinating. I cannot really read my Bible because I missed one verse yesterday, so I'll not stop reading my Bible. I cannot really join a life group because, I've been so busy, so I'll just continue not joining. I not really want to be, I think I'm not good enough to become healthy this year, so I'll keep eating junk foods or those foods that are unhealthy. You will get distracted and you will lose track of your goal. You will try to become the person you are not supposed to become, and you will try to do the things that you're not supposed to be doing. Then you'll start to have some doubts. You'll doubt God, you'll doubt about yourself, and since you're overwhelmed with all the problems and trials, you found yourself stop dreaming, stop chasing your goals, and stop becoming the person that God called you to be. But thank God. Thank God that we have an example to check this evening. Thank God because there's hope. And thank God we can be ready when these things will come this year. Let's examine the life of David. Now, I cannot go into details of the life of David because it's going to be an intensive Bible story. But what I'm going to do, I'll be sharing some part of the life of David where we can learn some principles how David handled these things. At some point, David experienced delays, disapprovals from people around him, from his own brother. And then he somehow become discouraged. Actually, if we cannot cover that, but his own son is trying to kill him. David, but that will not be covered in this message. But he's also entertained some distractions. And of course, at some point, as human, he probably doubted himself and doubted God. But the good thing is, he responded to each of these in a right way. So let's examine the life of David, how he handled these things, and how he became successful in life. So David is considered as the greatest king of Israel. He was a warrior, but he was also considered as a man after God's own heart. That was stated by Samuel in the First Samuel, Old Testament, and also stated by Apostle Paul in the New Testament. At some point in the book of Acts, he was even mentioned that he lived a purposeful and meaningful life during his generation. You might ask the question, wow, if David is the greatest king of Israel, his son Solomon is the wisest king, did he encounter delays? Of course, yes he did. Yet he constantly reminded himself to wait on the Lord. For David, delays is not a denial. It is a developmental process. When God says wait, there is something God working on behind the scene. And for David, when you encounter delays, we can rest and we can wait patiently and expectantly to the Lord. So David became anointed as a king, as the next king of Israel when he was 15 years old by prophet Samuel. So I was looking for the man named someone that the Lord want me to announce to be the next king of Israel. So Eliab, Abinadab, Simeon, the siblings of David. Then David came. He was 14 or 15 years old during the time. And then Samuel said, okay, you will be the next king of Israel. From 15 years old, David waited for another 15 years to be considered as the king of Hebron, a city of Judah. Not even the whole Israel yet. But from 15 years old to the 30 years old, the 15 years waiting period, he encountered obstacles after obstacles and testings and trials after trials. For 15 years, that became his developmental process. That became his training ground. He defeated the giant named Goliath. We will talk about that shortly. That helped him to become known around Judah, and Israel. After that, he served King Saul as musician. He played harp and lyre to help the depressed King Saul become at ease and have peace. That helps him to be familiar with how the king lived, right? Because you have the opportunity to be with the king. When the king is eating, you are there playing. When the king is sleeping, you are there playing. So you know the whereabouts of the king, and you will be familiar now. So that is a training ground. For some of us will say, hey, I've been anointed as a next king of Israel. Why I'm playing harp? Why am I playing lyre for king? I can be king. I'll kill this guy because I'm the next king. But he did not do that. At some point, Saul wanted David to be killed. He ran for more than 5 years, running from Saul to survive. Now, from 15 years old, he waited 15 years old to become king of Hebron. He waited another 7 years to become the king of Israel. A total of 22 years. That's a delay. And sometimes this year, we might be on a waiting process. You are not just waiting. You are in the developmental process. You are in D-League. You're not yet in NBA. But God is developing the skills that you need so that you will be ready for your next engagement. David, he actually can make this thing faster. He had the opportunity to kill King Saul, not once, but twice. When he killed King Saul, if he could kill King Saul, he could be the next king of Israel. He had the opportunity twice to do that. Yet he said, no, I will wait patiently on the Lord. He did not do it, and he waited patiently on the Lord. This is what he said, rest in the Lord. Wait patiently for him to act. Yes, waiting can be tiring and exhausting. But when we wait in the Lord, it means trusting him. It means you are well rested because you know by faith that God is working behind the scene. You know that there is something that God is cooking for you. And that is what it means to be rested while you're waiting in the Lord. It's about confidently knowing that God is working behind the scene. You are so confident. When God says wait, he is developing the strength that you need for your next engagement that he is calling you for. He is molding you to be the kind of person he wants you to be. He is on the process of helping you become better than before. So don't rush. These things, some of your prayers may not be answered in the first quarter of the year. Some could be not in the second quarter of the year. Maybe God's still working in your character, and he's after your character than your comfort. Maybe not in the third quarter of this year. Maybe in the fourth quarter of this year. Or maybe next year. But the whole point is rest in the Lord and wait patiently the way when he acts. What about disapproval? Are you saying, okay, I understand now, David experienced some delays and he responded this way. What about the disapproval of men? Now, soon after David became anointed as the next king of Israel, there was a war between Philistine and Israel. So some Philistine soldiers at the other part of the mountain and the Israelite soldiers at the other part of the mountain, and there's a valley in between them. So there is a war going on, and during that time, today, our modern warfare, you will kill from a distance, right? But that time, you will kill from arm length. And that's how terrible their time was. So there are Palestinians here, Israelites here, and they will get closer and closer and closer. And then there is this Philistine fighter, a warrior named Goliath. And you know the story, right? David and Goliath, you're so familiar with this. Goliath would come out and would taunt and shout to the Israelites, hey, I am the champion of Philistine. Bring your best fighter and fight with me. And whoever wins, we will surrender. We will conquer your nation. If I win, we will conquer Israel. If you win, you will conquer us. And Goliath stands around 6'9". According to some scholars, he stands around 6'9" to 9'9". So there is a difference there, but on average, we would probably consider that he's probably standing around 7'4" or 7'8". Probably some people who quoted him as 9'9" because of the helmet that he was wearing during the war, right? There will be some armors and helmet that he would have during the war. So he would stand that way. But considering he is 7'4", he would stand around second or third line of defense. That's how they fight before. So if you watch Braveheart, if you watch some ancient warfare, so there will be people first line, second line. He'll probably standing the third line, and you see with his spear, he would stab easily those people trying to approach the first line. And that's what Goliath is doing. That's his role. But before the war started, so Goliath would constantly shout and taunt the Israelites' army. I stand and dare the army of Israel, send one of your best men to fight me. When Saul and the Israelites heard Philistines' word, Goliath's word, they were very scared and terrified. And during this time, David was still a shepherd. He was 15 years old. He was tending the sheep and the goat. He was not there. But three of his brothers are joining the war. Eliab, Abinadab, and Simeon. And they were joining the soldiers of Saul. So David knows that, hey, I was anointed as the next king of Israel, but I'm still a shepherd. Now, during the war, Jesse, the father of David, stay with me, I'm giving you the background. Jesse, the father of David, so David has a father named Jesse. They have 7 sons. The 3 sons, their older 3 sons, is in the warfare. David is the youngest, the 7th of the 7 sons. So David was there tending the sheep. And then Jesse called, hey, can you go to Eliab, Abinadab, and then Shimea to send them food or water that they needed for the war? So David, he was 15 years old. He's the youngest, and he's the runner of the family. So he went. So David left the sheep with another shepherd and set out early in the next morning with the gifts. So he got the food, the meat, the bread, the juice, or there's no juice that time, the water. There's no Red Bull that time. Something to hydrate them. As Jesse has directed him, he arrived at the camp just as the Israelites' army was leaving for the battlefield. Shouts and battle cries. So the do. Remember that? That do. That's how they do, right? Do. We are Israelites. We are. So that's how they would scare the next team. Then the Israelites would march closer and closer. Soon the Israelite and Philistine force stood facing each other, army against army. So that's what happened now. It's very close. They're supposed to fight very close, probably around 500 meters away. And David left his things with the door. So during that war, there is some tent where they would put the food, the drinks, and some supplies that they needed during the war. David left his things to the keeper of supplies and hurried to the rank to greet his brothers. I don't know where his brothers was. Probably third line, fourth line. Hey, Eliab, Abinadab, Shimea, I'm here. Your brother David. I have something for you. I have food for you. As he was talking with them, Goliath again You know, he was doing this for 40 days, day and night. Goliath, the Philistine champion from God, came out from the Philistine ranks, and then he kept saying, bring the best soldier that you have and fight me, and whoever wins will conquer their country. This is what happened. David heard Goliath. So if you try to imagine, okay? Some people, Israelites army here, Philistines army here, and then David probably running and they said, hey, Eliab. Diba? And then Goliath went and said, bring your best army. And then David, you know, David's 15 years old guy. It's just time to imagine. Then David's like, focus. Camera, focus to David, right? Diba? He heard it. He heard that Goliath is taunting him. Or not him, but the Israelites army, the army of the living God. And David heard it, and he got offended. He heard him shouting the usual taunt of the army of Israel. David was like, who is this guy? I mean, I know who I am. I am the anointed next king of Israel. I know who we are. We are the Israelites, the army of the living God. Why this guy? What right does he have to taunt us, to scare us? And he was like, what's wrong with you folks? Why are you afraid and terrified with this guy? But this is what happened. When David's oldest brother, Eliab, okay, listen, heard David talking to these people, hey, what's going on? It's just one person. Anyone can fight him. Go, fight Goliath. He's probably cheering them. Look what happened. Eliab heard David talking to the men, and he was angry. He didn't even say, thank you, David, for the food. Thank you, David, for the drinks and the bread and the meat that you gave for us. He was saying, hey, what are you doing around here anyway? What about those sheep that you're supposed to be taking care of? I know about your pride and deceit. You just want to see the battle. What kind of brother? This year, folks, you might receive disapproval from people around you. And that could be your family members. That could be your relatives, your friends, your best friends. People will criticize you for desiring to become better than before. People will backmouth you, badmouth you, gossip you, betray you. People will not believe in you despite of the good intentions you have. If David, after hearing his brother, was like, hey, I brought you some food. I was just cheering the team because they can fight Goliath. I'm just asking a question. I'm just cheering you up. If he would give up here, the story would end in a different way. What David did is he refuted the disapproval of people. He said, I'm determined to prove people wrong. You may be afraid, you may be scared of Goliath, but come on, I will prove you wrong because I have the God of Israel by my side. And we must have the same mindset as David. We must prove the people around us wrong. We must prove those who criticize us wrong. You will not become better. Good luck if you will become better this year. Refute the disapprovals of not the people, but the disapprovals of people. You love the people, but you prove them wrong. Prove those who don't believe in you. Prove to those who don't think the best of you. Prove to those people who criticize you. Prove them wrong. Keep going. Keep growing because you are called to become better than before. The story didn't end there. Continue. Then David's question, because he was asking after Eliab was mad at him, he went to another soldier, hey, what's going on around here? Why we're not fighting that army? Then he moved to another soldier. They all say the same, oh, we're afraid, we're scared. Oh, there's a reward from Saul, but we are scared of what will happen. That's so big, 7'4" guy, or 9'9" or 6'9" guy. He would kill us easily. So after the consultation and questions and inquiries of David, his question went to Saul. So David's question was reported to King Saul, and the king sent for him. So he was sent to King Saul. And he said to King Saul, hey, King Saul, your majesty, don't worry about this Philistine. I go and fight him. He's very determined. He has a determined mindset. I will become better than before because God anointed me. God is with me. God will never fail me. And He will never fail me as I fight this Philistine army. He wants to fight Goliath. So this year, you will encounter Goliaths. You will encounter disapprovals of people around you. And that will also lead you to some discouragement. That will make you discouraged in becoming better than before. Because look at how Saul, King Saul, responded. He said, I'll go and fight him. Saul said, don't be ridiculous. There's no way you can fight this Philistine and possibly win. You are only a boy. And he's been a man of war since his youth. This year, you will have the only mentality. This year, you will be discouraged and think that I am just an only ordinary person. So I'll stop dreaming and becoming better than before. There is only so much thing I can do, so I will not strive to become better than before. I am only like this, and I can only do this, and I am only this. Not good enough to become better than before. If you listen to criticism, you will be discouraged. If you will listen to the disapproval of people, and you will not pursue becoming better than before. You have to rebuke the negativity and the only mentality. You are not only. You are special in the eyes of God. If you are a son, if you're a follower of Jesus, you are part of something important. You're part of this family, God's family. Stop thinking that you are only like this, like that, can do this, can only do that. No. God created you and called you to become better than before. And that truth is unchanging. You have to believe that truth and rebuke this lie of only mentality. Never believe that you are not good enough. You are more than good enough. You are special, and God loves you. You prove them wrong. You rebuke negativity. You reject the only mentality. And imagine if David listened to his brothers. If David responded to the armies like, okay, I'm only a boy. Okay, Saul, I cannot do anything. I'm just only a shepherd. The story would be different. Right? But of course, David persisted to the point that Saul agreed, okay, David, go fight Goliath. But the story didn't end there. Come on, stay with me. He encountered distractions. Look, then Saul gave David his own armor. Okay, I'll fight Goliath. But Saul, okay, you fight Goliath. Saul gave David his own armor, a bronze helmet and coat of mail, like the chains that he have. David put on a strap, the sword over it, and took a step or two to see what it was like. So David okay, David, you can go and fight Goliath. Put this armor. And David's like, okay, Saul, Saul, he's 15 years old, right? And David is a full-grown warrior, right? Okay, David, hold this sword. See, David probably, what's this? I cannot carry this. And then he tried to put my steps, 1 or 2 steps. I can't move. So, King Saul, I can't move, Your Majesty. So there will be a time this year that you will be distracted with anything under the sun. It could be people, it could be the things in this world, it could be technology, it could be anything. And you will be tempted to do the things you're not supposed to be doing, or becoming the things that become the person that you're not supposed to be becoming. And sometimes you will give in to what people will tell us to do. In this case, David was like, oh, I will not try to become better. I will not try to become someone I am not. Instead, he removed, I can't go in this. He said, I can't go in this. So, King Saul, I can't be like this. He protested to Saul and said, I'm not used to them. So David took them off. He picked some 5 smooth stones from the streams and put them into his shepherd's bag. Then, armed with only his shepherd's staff and sling, he started across the line to the valley and fight the Philistine. So this year, when you fight your battle, don't ever compromise. Don't pretend to become who you are not. Be yourself. Be the person that God called you to be. David did not pretend to be a warrior. He knows that he was a shepherd. He didn't wear all those armors, clothes a warrior supposed to wear. He knows who he is. And he fight the battle as a shepherd, as what God called him to be. But more than that, he knows who is the King of Israel. More than that, he knows that God is fighting with him and for him. This year, you will encounter many distractions. Distractions after distractions after distractions. From people around you, technology, environment, the noise of this world will try to distract you from becoming better than before. Like what I said last time, right? Most of the time when I'm talking here, 50% of you, your mind, 50% of our time, your mind is wandering. You're entertaining distractions after distractions after distractions. As we encounter distractions this year, sometimes the best thing to do is to remove some characters in our life in order for us to take the right actions in life. Distractions, when you remove some characters, it will help you to take actions closer to your goal. And once you remove some characters in your life, it could be bad habits that's taking too much of your time. Could be some hobbies that are not contributing to your goal, becoming a better person. Could be some people around you that are pulling you down and not really lifting you up. This year, there will come a time that you will doubt. You will doubt yourself. You will doubt God is really listening or not. Remember what God has done for you in the past. At some point, probably David doubted. And when he doubted himself, after all the delays, the distractions, the disapprovals, the rejection of people, he said, look at this, Your Majesty, I have been taking care of my father's sheep and goats. And when a lion came and tried to steal a lamb from the flock, I go after it and club and rescue the lamb from its mouth. The animal turns to me. I catch it by the jaw and club it to death. What David is saying here, when doubt comes our way to kill the Goliaths of our life, David recalled the time that God helped him, when God helped him, fought lions and bears. Lion and a bear. I have done this both to lions and bears, and I'll do it to this pagan Philistine too. For he has defiled the armies of the living God. The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hands of these Philistines. So after delays, after discouragement, after disapproval, distractions, you'll experience doubts. And when you experience doubt, remember how God rescued you in 2024. And that's what David is saying here. I remember how God saved me, fought for me to kill the bear and the lion. And I know He will help me kill this Goliath. In human logic, it is easier to fight a man. Lion, you don't know how they react. And they're faster than us. Bear, they're bigger than us. Goliath, smaller. Why I should be afraid? In the mind of David, I will not be afraid. God helped me when I fought lion and bear. He will help me as I fight this Philistine, this Goliath. So this year, you might doubt if it's worth it to become better than before because of the many trials that you will encounter this year. But I want you to listen. I want you to remember the times last year when God delivers you from your battles. I want you to remember the times last year when He rescued you, when you have nowhere else to go. I want you to remember the time last year when you were hopeless and yet God gave you hope. I want you to remember last year when you are losing the battle and you are on the brink of giving up and yet God fought for you. Remember last year, He never failed you and He will never do this year. So whenever you doubt Him, rest in the assurance that He is faithful and He can do great things this year. Never doubt that God is calling you to become better than before. Remember always, God never failed you and He can do great things for you, through you, and in you. 1,000 years after David died, Apostle Paul quoted his life. Apostle Paul, one of the greatest missionaries of all time, he said, David served God's purpose in his own time. 1,000 years after his death. At the end of this year, when you look back, we are now in the last week of 2025. As you look back, can you confidently say you have served God's purpose for your life? Can you confidently say that, hey, I have become better than 2024? I know how you can confidently say that. I know how you can confidently declare that you live the purpose of your life. When you encounter delay, my folks, my friend, you rest in the Lord and wait patiently for Him. When you encounter disapproval of people, people who will not think the best of you, people who will not believe you, people who don't have faith in you, refute the disapproval of people and you prove them wrong. Hey, I want to become better than before. Whatever you're thinking about me, it's not important. What's more important is who am I in the Lord. Whenever you find yourself discouraged and brink of giving up, rebuke negativity and the only mentality. You are not only, you are something. You are important in the eyes of God, and you are called to something important to do this year. Whenever you encounter distractions, refocus yourself on who you are and who God is. And when you doubt if God can do great things for you this year, remember what He did for you last year. He sustained you. He never failed you. He will never fail you this year. Remember who your God is. Remember who you are for God. And remember what He can do for you. And I pray that you will seek Him. I pray that you will serve Him. For you are called to become better than before. 4 weeks has passed this new year. Where are you now? Some gave up. Some, they get tired. Some said, I don't want to go back to church. I'm tired of chasing my dreams. I am tired of following Jesus. And I want to tell you, please don't give up. Please don't give up. Life can be hard this year. You will encounter trials after trials, testings after testings, obstacles after obstacles. But I want to remind you that God will never fail you. So I hope this series will stick in your mind. And whenever you feel giving up this year, you will remember how God helped David. He can help you too. Remember, you are called to become better than before.